Alrighty, are we good? Can everyone hear me? Sorry about that, everyone. Apparently it's too hard to keep the power running 100% of the time in the United States of America. It's apparently like a feat that is just beyond our capability. Anyway, so yeah, the power just went out and came back immediately, which shut everything down, turned off my router, all that good stuff. So had to wait for that to reboot, get my stream all set back up again. In any case, I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, like a skill tree for unlocks. Anyway, I don't need to think about that right now, but we can move on to what I was trying to do for the stream, which is add tooltips for things. So if I go to my board, what is it? Board events. What the heck? Board grow. Why can't I find this? Grow board container. Oh, it's called grow board container. Okay. So the goal here is we're going to replace this label with a tooltip instead. Yeah, but welcome back, Clickertail. Good morning, Ninja Link. Dylan, welcome. I can hear you good. Is work saved? Yeah, my work is all saved. It's basically, knock on wood, it's basically impossible for me to lose any data between a combination of regularly committing to Git and also my network attached storage. It's almost impossible for me to lose any data. Actually, there was one time where it really saved my rigid and meticulous backups actually saved me. So I was working on the Vampire Survivors course, I think it was, and I was regularly backing up my project database and all that stuff in DaVinci Resolve. And I accidentally did something which completely like bricked up DaVinci Resolve, like it just wouldn't load. I accidentally made a timeline like something like 100 hours long or something, and it just couldn't load it for some reason. And so like I literally bricked the project. I couldn't open it. But thankfully I had just done like a whole project backup like an hour earlier. So I was able to restore that and get back to a working state. That would have been really bad because like I was at the end of the course too. Like I was almost done editing everything. And if I had bricked DaVinci Resolve with no way to get back into the project, that would have been bad. But I was able to restore everything and the entire project was saved. That's a nice little adrenaline rush though. Not knowing if if all of the tens of hours of work you had done would be undone. But anyway. So we want to do, when we hover over this, we have a label here. This labeled text on hover entered. Append text, choice index, get grow board tooltip BB code, root get parent move child. So I'm trying to think of how I want to do this for the generic tooltip. Generic tooltip dot register clickable control, north clickable control. The handler accepts the generic tooltip. What I will want to do is north clickable control. I think what I can do if I just put the generic tooltip in here and we do on hover entered with the generic tooltip north root vector 2 I dot up and 0. I think that should work. And so now I just need to do this for all the rest of them. Okay, so we've got, this is what? East clickable control, south clickable control, west clickable control. And then we're just going to copy this. So east root, south root, west root. Okay. So var bb code is equal to this. Generic tooltip dot set header. We're going to need to translate this, but that's okay. We'll just do set header grow board for now. Generic tooltip dot set. Actually, I can do this. Set body bb code, and then we can also just do the root dot get parent move child. Okay, so hopefully that works. And then we can delete the label here. We just delete this entirely. And this control now, actually that's fine. That control is fine. Hello Emerson, welcome back. I joined with a freeze frame of your head in your hands. Hope is all good. Yeah, we're good. Welcome Stray Pointer. Really nice. You haven't lived until you write a delete without a where. Uh-oh. It's a nice course, glad it survived, yeah. Am I coding in GD script or C sharp? C sharp, yeah. In prod. I actually did that one time at one of my jobs. I was new to Firebase migrations, and I accidentally deleted a bunch of records in Firebase, but the good news is that I also took a backup before I did that, so I was able to restore it within like 5 or 10 minutes. But that was a little bit exciting as well. That was like 3 weeks into my new job too. Oops. Oops. It's okay. That was a really small project anyway. There was like basically no writes happening to that database, so it was like minimally destructive. But those are the kinds of things you remember. You do that once and you never do it again. Anyway. Who among us has not dropped a bunch of production data on accident? You can have autoload scenes. Yeah, autoloads can be scripts or scenes. Which is incredibly useful. So like one of my autoloads, my announcements autoload here. This is a scene, right? Scenes autoload announcements.tscn. And the reason that's very nice is because I have all the scene structure I need for actually showing announcements. And this one is actually loaded as a placeholder. So when I need to push a new announcement to the screen, I just basically create an instance of that announcement, and I set the text and I play it in. And that all exists at like the very, very tippy top root of the tree, right? So, but you can add like more structure to your autoload scenes that way. I remember a video of Tom Scott who did something similar, but the catch is he didn't make a transaction, meaning that once the data was gone, it was gone. Saw this video about, oh no seconds, I think. Yeah, it happens. It happens. That's why backups are very important. Like I also back up all my Git repositories nightly, and I keep the 5 most recent days of so like I take a full download, full bundle of all of my repositories every day if they've changed. So if it detects that there was a change between the last bundle that it stored, it grabs a new bundle, limits it to 5 previous. And that protects against things, you know, like if I force push to master and like clobber a bunch of history, I can at least go back to the previous days. The previous days version of the history. So I've got backups like that. Just very, very concerned about losing data, I guess. It's not working. Is there a reason why this isn't working? Oh, could not match member label. That's probably... No, I don't think that should... That shouldn't cause any problems, but... I'll just delete the label here. Yeah, I don't think that's going to cause any problems, but maybe it will. No path can be resolved. I don't know what all this is. Should I invest in a NAS to back up all my important data? I mean... The problem is, like, getting a NAS is a little bit expensive because you have to spend, I mean, I don't know where you live, but in the United States, even the lower end, like Synology models, will run you like $300, $400, but those don't come with drives. So then you got to buy drives, and drives are relatively expensive right now. Unless you have some old drives laying around or want to get some used drives. So you're probably looking at like a minimum of $600, $700 investment. Unless, like, of course, like there's things you can do. Like if you have old computers laying around, you can turn those into network attached storage. But I'm saying if you want to get like a new device and new hard drives, it's quite an investment. For me, it's like, it was a good investment because like my entire livelihood rests around like all of my most important work is like digital data, right? And so yeah, I think it was worth it as like an insurance policy. So you kind of have to judge whether it would be okay for you. Why isn't this working? What did I change? Oh, visibility toggle targets is not. Okay. Right. Visibility toggle targets is incorrect. I have to delete all those. Okay. We should be good now. Thank you, Snupbill, for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. With the message yummers. That's very much appreciated. Thank you, Snupbill. I don't know about the Ugreen models. Yeah, I don't know either. I have a Synology and I'm perfectly happy with it. So I'm going to modify this a little bit. The tooltip structure. Description utils.wrap color. Game constants.color orange. Okay. I think I want to add a new line here. Okay. Let's see if that works. Have you worked in the game dev industry before, or are you fully self-taught? I have not worked in the game dev industry, no. Fully self-taught, just doing, you know, hobby projects and whatever while I was working full-time as a software engineer. Okay, that works. So yeah, self-taught basically, and then now I'm trying to do it full-time. I mean, Alchemortis is the make or break moment now. We'll see how this one does in terms of sales, and that will determine whether I keep making games or whether I go back to the workforce. That is so much nicer than the text being at the bottom of the screen. I think that's, I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you like the tooltips better? So instead of having the text at the bottom of the screen, you get a tooltip for the grill board now. There are diskless NASs. Wow, yeah, diskless just means that they're just selling you the device, and you have to plug your own hard drives into it. Deltarune Chapter 5 is out apparently. I don't know anything about Deltarune. That's from the Undertale guy, right? Have you checked out any Next Fest demos? I have not, no. I have played basically 0 video games lately. They have so much words on it, a bit hard to read. I mean, that's just going to be a problem with this game. If I use fewer words, then people aren't going to understand what's happening. Hope Alchemortis does well so you can keep going with game dev. Thank you. We'll see. We will see. Honestly, like, I'm just hoping that at a bare minimum it makes enough money for me to keep doing this for like another maybe like 2 years. Like if I could get 2 years of funding from the sales of this game, I would be happy with that. Of course, we always want to shoot for more than that, but you know, we'll see. Made my own NAS for high school computer science project, converted an old work desktop into an Ubuntu server. Now I run game servers and host apps for school in Docker. Best $150 I've ever spent. Yeah, having like a little Tinker device like that you can just use for random projects is great. I actually have a Raspberry Pi with, it's the model with 8 gigabytes of RAM. And so I run all kinds of stuff on the Raspberry Pi. Like whenever I just need an app that I can access. I actually run the Firebelly email list off of the Raspberry Pi. So that's pretty cool. Saving up, I used to be using MailChimp and that was like way too expensive, so I just migrated everything over to self-hosted email marketing on my Pi. Very cool. Yeah, all good. I'm sure there's some people in here that are interested in Deltarune. The thing is, you are stacking so much effect in one place it makes the description more complex. Make the game deck verified will def boost Alchemortis. Yeah, that's the goal. Definitely want this game to be 100% fully supported on Steam Deck when it releases. Okay. Use generic tooltip for grow board event. All right, where else do we want the tooltips? I mean, I just want to use tooltips for everything. For the enchants as well. Adds whatever to the thing. So yeah, basically in any of these events where I have text that appears on screen, I'm just going to do a tooltip. I think that's just going to unify the experience a lot better. You know, it's like, one of the reasons I think it works better is that it's weird to have the text of what you're hovering like super far away from what you're hovering. The other benefit too is that eventually I want to experiment with allowing you to pin tooltips so that you can hover over the keywords inside of the tooltip to get explanations for those keywords. So this is something that like Baldur's Gate does, Baldur's Gate 3 or Path of Exile does. I'm sure a bunch of other games do it as well. Where you can like drill down into the tooltips like by clicking on the keywords to get a full understanding of the thing. I would love to see if I can do that in Alchemortis, but of course that's not going to be possible until, you know, everything is in a tooltip. Okay, let's get rid of the description label here. Yeah, we don't need all this stuff anymore. We just get rid of the description container altogether. Yeah, just get rid of the description container altogether. On tentacle hover entered. This doesn't need to be here. So I basically don't need hover exited anymore. Yeah, I don't need any of this. I can simplify this quite a lot. Okay, so we're going to do generic tooltip.register clickable control tentacle clickables I generic tooltip. Okay, so generic tooltip here. What do we want to do? We want to grab this. Not this one. We don't need to show enchant anymore. The enchant is going to be equal to and options. Enchant options index. Generic tooltip.set description or set body. Description utils highlight keywords. Enchant.get description. I think that's it. Enchant is 4. Your consistency is very motivating. I love lurking on the streams at work. Keep it up. Thank you, Wild Recon. I appreciate that. Glad I can provide some light entertainment for you while you're working. I may add... Oh, you know what I just realized? I need to add a translation string here. Or no, this needs to be grow board. Grow board. UI grow board tooltip header. Now we're going to need to do the same thing for this one. So we'll do translation string, new enchant, or add enchant. Something like that. Group translation groups.ui. Private const string. This would be UI add enchant. I don't know. Doesn't really matter what these keys are. So down here, UI add enchant add tooltip, build the project, then build the translations, and then we should be good. Okay. I can't get that kind of consistency. Find that being an employee for too long will rob myself of the ability of making decisions myself. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's easier for me to be consistent because I don't have a regular job, right? So like this is literally all that I have to focus on. But it's harder, you know, it's harder if you're employed full time and you get back from work and it's just like you're already tired. It's definitely hard. Man, that looks so much better. I like that a lot better. Got some errors though. Handle is not initialized. No. I thought I fixed this issue. I don't really know why that's happening. Whatever, it doesn't break anything, so. Okay. So we're going to want to do the same thing here. Large health option. This one's going to take a little bit more work. Hello, Fortune Sort. I haven't yet played your game, so question about meta progression. Is it like points which spend on permanent upgrades, or is it made via unlocks like in Brotato? Right now it's just unlocks, so right now it's just, there are various quote-unquote challenges, and completing those challenges unlocks items in accordance with those challenges. I don't know if I'm going to keep that, honestly. I think one of the problems with those approaches, that approach is that you can unlock stuff without trying to unlock it, which is okay in some situations, right? But at least as it stands right now, it's very easy to just unlock everything without really paying attention to what you're doing. And I don't really know if that's an issue of like me not making the challenges specific enough, or something else. But I was talking earlier on the first stream before my power went out that I wonder if it would be fun to do some kind of like more like a skill tree based unlock system where you get like skill points and make a bunch of challenges that earn you skill points, right? Or unlock points or whatever. So we keep the challenge based thing, but instead of the challenges unlocking something specific, the challenges give you some kind of like unlock point. And then there could be like an unlock tree where you can like choose your own adventure about what you get unlocked. I think that would be interesting. I could see that being like almost the best of both worlds, because you still need to complete challenges to get unlock points. But then when you go to the unlock tree, you know, I can still gate certain unlocks behind certain requirements, right? So it could be the case that, you know, you won't be able to unlock the Lich until you're like pretty deep into the tree. So you won't inadvertently like unlock the Lich on like your third run, you know what I mean? But it's like the best of both worlds, right? There's not going to be like a meta currency where like, oh, you get currency during the run and then you use that for upgrades. It'd be more like, hey, if you beat a higher difficulty than you've previously beat, you get an unlock point. If you complete this challenge, like apply 20,000 poison, you get an unlock point. And you can bring up the unlock tree and just like, yeah, choose what you want to unlock. But your options will still be limited, right? Because you still need to progress in the tree to unlock the later items. I mean, I think that would be, I would love to experiment with that. I don't know how people feel about that, but I think that would make the unlock system more interesting and give you more agency about what you're unlocking. Any ascension level? Yeah, there are difficulty levels, which are basically the ascension system. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you might get one unlock point for beating a run on normal difficulty, right? Then you might get one unlock point for beating a run on difficulty 1, and then you might get an unlock point for beating a run on difficulty 2. And then there might be challenges, right? Like if you win a run with 7 ritual items on your board, then that will give you an unlock point. And then if there are like 50 unlocks in the tree, well, then you have a clear indicator of like what your progression is, but also once you've completed a challenge, completing it again won't award you another unlock point. So you will still need to like look at the challenges and like figure out what you need to do to get more points. Because like I imagine, like, let's say there's 50 unlocks, which will probably be more than that, but let's just say there's 50 unlocks and you get to 40 and you're not getting any more unlock points. You're going to have to go look at your challenges and say like, okay, what haven't I completed that I need to complete to get these skill points so I can finish the tree, right? Any plans to submit to Indie Game Clinic for review? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, it's up to my publisher what they want to do, but yeah, I mean, the other thing is I'm not really interested in having my game reviewed by that guy. So probably not, but if my publisher says it would be a good thing, then I may do that. I think unlocking some stuff brainlessly playing is good to some extent. However, like you're saying, there definitely should be items where that is not the case. Yeah, well, that's why I'm thinking the unlock point system could work, because you'll still get unlock points, like you said, brainlessly. Like you'll still be able to complete challenges that you weren't even really trying for. But then the agency is on the player to decide what they want to unlock, right? So it's like instead of the unlocks themselves becoming passive that you just get brainlessly, you get the points somewhat brainlessly if you're not really paying attention. And then you can use your agency as a player to decide what you want to unlock next. I just think that may feel more impactful. And it solves the problem, like I said, of like, you know, if I want the player to get the courier later in the game, then instead of trying to like come up with like this challenge that's really hard to do, I can just put the courier deeper in the unlock tree. And so it requires some like investment to actually get to that point, right? So you may need to complete a minimum of like 20 challenges or whatever before you can even have the option to unlock the courier. But even then, you may choose not to unlock the courier, right? You may spend your points on something else. So I think I may explore something like that. I like trees. Yeah, me too. Hello, Kinyas. I think trees are just fun too, like as a player. It's like a very nice like visual investment in your progression, which feels very satisfying compared to like the passive, you know, oh, you unlocked this item for completing this challenge, you know? Yeah, me too. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will modify this scene to support the new generic tooltip. So I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. All right, I'm back. With trees, you can also categorize different items into branches more intuitively, so that's cool. Yeah, I think so. I think it could be cool. Unlock tree doesn't sound too bad. Not really much of a difference to what already exists, just a little bit more structured. Yeah, it's not really a difference. Not much of a difference from a gameplay perspective, but it is a difference in framing, right? Like, I'm thinking that, well, not only will I have more control over the pacing of unlocks by just, you know, putting things deeper in the tree or whatever, not only will I have more control over the pacing of unlocks, but also because it's like giving the player the explicit choice on what they unlock, I think it may feel more satisfying, even if it's like functionally no different, right? That's the weird thing about like making games, is that a lot of problems can be solved by just simply reframing them, even if they're not functionally different, right? So like there's a classic example of this, which is like, you know, I'm trying to think of like, I don't remember the exact example. So, I mean, I can't remember the exact example that I saw, but it was something like, you know, instead of giving the player some kind of like penalty to damage or loot chance or whatever, which feels really bad, right? Oh, you do 10% less damage, or you have 10% less chance to find items. If for balance reasons, you might just instead lower the baseline chance of everything and then give the player buffs instead, right? So if you feel like the player is too powerful, maybe you just lower the baseline damage, but then offer opportunities to buff the damage up to the point that you originally intended. And it's like functionally no different. Like you're still getting the damage into the same spot that you wanted it to be, but instead of framing the damage as a debuff on the player side, you're framing it as a buff, right? That may not be a great example. I can't recall the exact example that I saw, but stuff like that, right? Like just flipping the numbers around, changing the framing, even if it's functionally no different, the framing can make a big impact on like the perceived fun of the game. And so I'm wondering if the unlocks would become more engaging by just giving players a little bit of agency over it beyond, you know, seeking to complete a particular challenge. I don't know. I'd have to play around with that. I'd have to play around with it. But anyway. That tier. So we have the cost label. Under the tree and unlocks, you don't mean permanent increasing stats like +1 max HP, right? Do you mean perks, relics, characters which are encountered during the run? Yes. Yeah, there will be no like baseline stat increases in the unlock system. It will just change like what content is available to you. So yeah, that's what it will be. Okay, so there's actually a couple things going on. Okay, let's just try to get something working here, I guess. Generic tooltip dot register clickable control parent. Generic tooltip. Generic tooltip dot set header increase max health set description or set body. I keep wanting to do set description. Set body increase max health by whatever. This whole series of scenes is structured a little bit weird, but that's okay. I'm gonna have to translate this as well. Increase description keywords dot icon blood text. And then this would need to be cost, something like that. Remove these visibility toggle targets. Let me just see what that gets me. Max health is 6. It's hard to say, never really considered any of the unlock requirements to be challenges. Instead, I thought of them as use this mechanic to unlock stuff. Being forced to interact with the mechanic before unlocking more things felt very natural. I guess that would be more of a mastery system. Oh. This needs to be description utils.highlight keywords. This will all need to be translated. Ugh. Let's see. Glad to hear that. Yeah. I'm not really a fan of like the typical roguelite progression systems. Like I really don't like the style of roguelike where it's basically impossible to win a run until you've invested in upgrades. That just feels very bad to me. I may do this instead. Let's do that looks better. So can I get rid of all this stuff now? Delete that. Delete that. Health label container. Description label, cost label, all that stuff gone. We don't care about the format string anymore, so that can go away. And we don't need this and we don't need that. This needs to be translated as well. Okay, the one thing that I want to do though is, let's see, health heart icon. Is this? That is not correct. 9 by 11 heart. 11 by 10. Well, let's see if this works, I guess. Description utils. Let's create description keywords. Public const string health icon health text equals icon health text description utils description keywords dot icon health text is equal to game constants dot color white description keyword health icon health UID private const. I don't want to do this. Icon health UID. Okay. Do I need to do anything else here? What if I forgot how this works. I personally don't like it when it feels like a roguelike. It's easier because you gain permanent upgrades that persist between runs. Yeah, I don't like that either. Getting too comfortable with how many characters you put in one line. Well, here's the problem. This is the size that I normally work at. This is the size that I work at when I'm off screen. Or when I'm off stream, right? So you can see that I've got plenty of room. Like I can see the lines very easily. It's just when I've got it blown up for the screen, for the stream, I mean, yeah, there's not a whole lot of horizontal space, but when I'm working normally, there's plenty of room. Health. Trying to get this working. Let's see. Build this. Okay, there we go. So now the reason I did all that is because I should be able to, in here now, increases maximum health. This would be description keywords dot health, icon health text. Okay. Then I got to update all the translations here as well. So many translations. I don't think roguelike should be impossible without upgrades unlocks. It's a big reason I like the difficulty system. It makes things tougher as you gain experience. Yeah. I can see the localization nightmare in this game. Yeah, I mean, I haven't even started doing real localization yet. Like, I'm just focused on getting all the strings into the translation file, but real localization would involve, like, basically getting the translation files, then seeing if any of the UI breaks. Like one place where the UI is likely to break is like here. If any of these little labels become bigger than this available space, that could break pretty easily, actually. Also, the tags here. Okay, so now we've got health icon, increases maximum health by 15, by 25, cost 15, not enough blood. So that works. So add tooltip support for health options. Okay, so now I got to do all these translation strings. Translation string, increase max health, group translation groups dot UI, private const string UI, increase max health tooltip header. Okay. Translation string. So now we got to do this one. Can I do this? Okay. So cost is 0. Increase maximum health by 1. So this would be UI max health tooltip body. Okay. Oh, I gotta do semicolon there. Okay, so this would be UI tooltip header. And then we need the body. Body is equal to description utils dot format description tr UI body params object. That would be cost and increase amount. Okay, description utils highlight keywords body. And then let's also, for good measure, we'll just do the announcement here. All right, so all the strings should be translatable now. You know, I use 8 font size myself, but I always have split screen so I can always see the constants and such. You know, Microsoft Docs say it has a standard for formatting, C# max of 65 characters. Yeah, Microsoft's recommendations are dumb. I think code looks a lot more noisy and a lot more unreadable if you're breaking a line, like a singular line, into multiple lines. I think that just looks ugly and increases the noise. So I don't do that. Okay. Announcement increase max health error, not enough blood. Okay, let's see if this all works. I'm predicting a translation tool side quest to make this easier. That's a bunch of change for translating 2 lines. I already have a translation tool. That's the whole point of these translation strings, is that these are C# annotations that during my translation build step will take those and put them into the translation file itself. So the idea is that all the translation source strings should come from the source code or from the resources, etc. Basically, I have it such that this translation file is an artifact of the build, essentially. So none of this is manually edited. Every single line you see in here is auto-generated from my translation tool. And then what that allows me to do is that anytime I have a string that is unique or that is only relevant for like this class, for example, I can co-locate that string with that class. And I know that just by marking it with a translation string attribute, that will get picked up and inserted into the translation file. But also, if I ever need to change this text, I know, oh, well, I want to change the health option tooltip, right? Oh, it's not even working. Why didn't it work? Did I break something? I probably broke something. But if I need to change a translation, I just go in here and I change the source, the text here, and then I just rebuild the translations and it gets picked up. But I'm not sure. Did I break something? Uh-oh. I definitely did break something. Oh, I think it's broken because of this new line here. Right. That is one of the bad parts about this, is I need to put a literal new line in the string. Wonder if I could... Why am I not doing that for translation strings? I think I'm doing that elsewhere. Hold on a second. Well, firstly, let me just validate that that fixes the issue. I don't know why this changed here. That might be an issue, actually. That might be an issue. Inner abilities may not be formatted correctly in translation. Translation file should have a format placeholder rather than the ability description. So that may be a bug. I need to figure that out. Expected end at the... Do I still have this error? Hold on, let's clear this. Build. Run. Do I still have this issue? Okay, anyway. So that's all translated now. The thing that I want to look at, though, is... transform flavor text. So what this is doing is this is replacing single quotes with escaped single quotes, and then it's also replacing new lines with escaped new lines. The question is, why is this not being done for all text? So actually, I'm going to try something here. We're going to get rid of this here. We're going to put this transform text during the output stage. Yeah. So during the output stage here, let's put static transform. Let's do escape text. We'll call that escape text. In here, we're going to say var escaped is equal to escape text e.text. And then we're also going to do var escaped plural text is equal to escape text e.plural text. Okay, and then this needs to be escaped plural text, and then this needs to be escaped text. Okay, so now I'm just escaping all the text at the time it gets written to the file, rather than just doing it during the gathering phase. So hopefully this works. So I saw no changes to my PO file, which is great because that means that it's functionally identical. But I should also see no change if I change this back to just a normal new line character. So if I build this and then I build the translations, I should still see no change because the end text is still going to be an escaped new line. Yeah, perfect. So we can just be extra double sure. Build this. Then see if we get this. You know, release is approaching fast when tooltips are being finished. Yeah, we're sort of like in the polish and content phase of the game now. I think the vast majority of the effort from here on out is just like, yeah, new content, new visual effects, new art, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, so you can see that that has the new line there removed. And if I put this back now, that will be escaped. That will put a literal \n in the translation. Cool. Okay. Support, or let's just do translate health options. Okay, and then the translation generator here. This one is escape all translated text prior to file write. That script is huge. Is it huge? Yeah, it's 700 lines, I guess. But it's really not that complicated. Most of it is just like, so I have like a generate method for each of the different systems in my game. And each of these methods basically just needs to define how to gather up these PO entries for that system. So when I do generate cards, you know, I'm iterating over every card in the game, creating it or getting the resource for it. Then I'm adding the name and also the display name, or I'm adding an entry for the name translation key, then for the actual name, then I'm adding an entry for the flavor text, so on and so forth. And then that just gets added to the big giant data structure that I have for all the strings. And I just do this for because every system has text in different spots, right? So I just go system by system, gathering up all of those PO entries, and basically it gets stored in this dictionary section, and a section is basically just, it's got a comment plus a list of entries. So like all of these are just stuffing that data structure with the data from that system, And then the construct final PO just iterates over that data structure essentially and writes to the file. So the only reason why it's long is just because there's just a bunch of different systems in the game that have text in different places that need to be handled. And then the abilities is kind of complex because there can be nested abilities, and like how you actually translate those and get those into the translation file is a little bit weird. But the point is, it's not a complex file. It's very, very easy to understand. The only reason it's long is just because there's a lot of different systems to gather translatable text from. But it's very isolated. Like the only thing that needs to happen in each of these is just put the formatted data into the data structure. I was just surprised because I usually panic when my script goes over 300. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, scripts being long is a good like heuristic to determine if you need to break up the script, but just because a script is long, that doesn't automatically mean that there's something wrong. In the case of the translation file here, I think it would become harder to reason about if I were to split it up into a bunch of places, because I mean, essentially this is all just like I said, just gathering up the data. So if I said, well, I'm going to put all of these into their own files, it'd be like, I don't know, it just wouldn't be as clear. It would be super fragmented and not easy to just pop in here and make a change. But yeah. Anyway, what else needs to support tooltips? Oops. Hello, Mikola. Welcome, welcome. Do I have tests for translation generator or any at all? I do have some tests, but they're not very useful. Actually, I don't even know if they run. This test case did not report any output. Anyway, I have some tests that are not very useful. I was actually thinking about removing the tests. Test case did not report any output. Oh, here we go. How do I actually look at this though? So this test is actually failing, but where in the heck? I don't know how to look at the actual output. Show result output. I mean, that doesn't help. How do I look at the output? Like, it should be able to print this card ability key violation, but it's just telling me that it failed. I don't know how to see the Godot output here. I don't know how to see the output. How translation works? I just went over that a little bit. Basically, you just have key value pairs, and then the keys stay the same, but the values change based on what language you're using. You're doing internationalization for this game? Yes, I am. Imagine the scripts for generating the romance dialogues would get pretty long. The translation would be difficult too, yeah. There we go with the romance options again. Fragmented code that is only used for a specific function is a bit pointless too and adds some mental load, yeah. You can use code blocks or IIFE that will help you chop up code that is only used once in a function. Or just use comments. I've hardly ever seen comments used apart from the most unreadable code in 10 years I've been a dev. Comments are usually more helpful when you're starting off. Yeah, I mean, I don't need to rehash this. I don't need to rehash my militant anti-comment position. Does it Godot have something like Unity scriptable objects? Yeah, custom resources. Yeah. What am I working on? Well, right now I'm working on trying to figure out how I can read this test failure result. Can I debug this, I guess? I very strongly doubt this is going to work. Oh, here we go. Wheel of Misfortune. Well, there we go. See, the test was actually useful. So basically, I have this one test, which just basically makes sure that the abilities defined on an item all have unique keys for that item. And it looks like I had a copy-paste error. These were both used. The problem is if those keys are the same, the save system doesn't know which ability to select when it's loading the abilities back in. So that was a legitimate failure that the test caught. This is like the only useful test I have in the game though. And it doesn't run automatically. I couldn't get it to run in CI. Also, it does, like, sometimes it just doesn't run. I don't know why that happens. I don't know. I'm trying to use like GD unit with C# and it doesn't work that well, and it's like super flaky. But it passes now. There we go. Makes sense. Snail Cat Bromance option. Hello, Mel's. Welcome. The test runner does not catch GD print because MS Test does not know about it. Well, I'm using C# with GD unit. And I have seen the Godot output printed to the test result output before. I just don't remember how I got that to happen. If you could make any amount of money to prove you could do it in only a year using Steam, could you? If you could make any amount of money to prove you could do it in only a year using Steam. What do you mean by any amount of money? Like, could you make more than $1 on Steam? Okay. What was I doing? I'm completely lost. Oh, tooltip stuff. So we've done health, grow board. Oh, we need to do obelisk. Enchant. Booster. Oh, we did Artifact already, I think. Reagent doesn't need a tooltip. Card upgrade doesn't need a tooltip. Yeah, I think we're good. Those might be the only ones left. Obelisk and Booster. For example, launching the app costs money. Yeah, I mean, I think I would certainly try it. Like, there can be no harm in making a game in a year and see if you can make your money back, at least. Maybe useful instead of GD unit. Yeah, I don't know. The thing about like testing is I need the Godot runtime to do the testing. So GD unit like kind of does all that for you, right? It spins up Godot and then it actually like runs your test in Godot. Like require Godot runtime. This annotation actually leverages the Godot runtime to test your scene or your scripts or whatever. But it's good to know that I can debug the tests at least, even if I can't see the output. That will still help. I may try to take another stab at getting this to run in CI as well. I just couldn't get it to work. Because if I could have these, like especially this test just running in CI, where, you know, I will know immediately if I push a commit that fails. Or at the very least, you know, run the tests prior to doing a release. That would be great, but I couldn't get it to work, so I gave up on that. What I was even doing completely lost, relatable. Most Steam games don't make any money. You'll most likely not make enough money to cover the $100 it costs to upload on Steam if you're making an average game. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably true to an extent. You know, I will say like Gunforged. I would say Gunforged is probably like an average game. Like, I don't think it's a bad game, but I also don't think it's like anything super noteworthy. But, you know, I still sold 6,000 copies of Gunforged the last time I looked. So it's like, I think it's an average game that's executed pretty well, and it didn't do gangbusters, but at the same time, like, it definitely made a good chunk of money. So, you know, I think that's the problem, though, is like the execution is everything, right? It's like the game still needs to be very polished and fun. You can't just like throw up slop on Steam and expect it to do well. And even like making an average game that can sell a couple thousand copies is really, really, really hard. It's very difficult. Like when Gunforge released, I had been doing game dev for 15 years, and that was the first time I ever made any sort of sizable amount of money doing it. So it's not to be discouraging. Like, I definitely think it's possible. Like, I think it's both easier and harder to make money with a game on Steam than people think. It's easier in the sense that if your game is actually decently good and polished and fun, you can definitely sell a couple thousand copies. But it's hard to even make an average game that fits that description, you know? But you should try. I mean, I think you're never going to know until you try. You could assert that there's no violations in the collection instead of checking the count. That way you could see the violation printed by the assertion. Oh, that's true. You can't spend $100 to put your game on Steam. You have no faith in yourself. But yeah, I mean, I think I would try it, you know. Gunforge is a top-notch game. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't want to discourage anyone. Like, you should definitely try, especially if you're just doing it as a hobby and you're not like giving up your job or anything. Like, yeah, you just spend the $100. You try your best to make a game in a year and see how it does. And You're never going to know what you're capable of until you try it, right? How do I make tests? It's been a while. If you look at GD unit, the GD unit docs for Godot will tell you how to set it all up. I'm not intimately familiar with setting up tests, but anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we'll add tooltips to 1 or 2 more items, and then we'll see how that goes. But I'll be right back in 3 minutes. Okay, I'm here. What is a test? It's essentially a piece of code that you can write that validates the functionality of some part of your code. It's essentially what it is. It's code that ensures that the code that you've written functions the way that you intended it to. Yeah. Inputs and expected outputs, yep. Currently a full-time dad, but baby girl is going to be in preschool 3 hours a day. I'm for now supported by my partner, but I need to make profits of some kind so I can keep doing it. Yeah, I mean, there's like, look, there's nothing, you have nothing to lose, right? And you're never going to find out unless you try it. So I would encourage you to try it and see how it goes, you know? Okay, we need to add tooltips to obelisk. Obelisk. Description label. Let's just go ahead and yeet that right away. Okay. Yeet that. On hover entered. Option. Generic tooltip dot register clickable control. Brazier. Generic tooltip. Yeah, basically we just do this. Generic tooltip dot set header. We'll just do like obelisk power. Set body. Highlight keywords. Get rid of this on hover entered. Don't need that. Don't need this. Get rid of that. Let's translate the obelisk power. Translation string. Obelisk power. Group. Translation groups. Dot UI. UI obelisk tooltip header. We'll just go ahead and slap that in here. All right, build. And then we got to build the translations. Obelisk is actually looking to be a little bit simpler than I thought it would be. Okay, now let's see. Obelisk is 13. I wish I could do an enum drop-down type here. I don't think enum is an option in here though, unfortunately. Man, that would be so nice if you could support enum values in here. Yeah. Although I could have sworn that there were some kinds of settings which were drop-down settings. Maybe that's not in project settings. Yeah, here, what is this? Oh, that's an int. So wait, there are drop-downs here that are ints, but how does it know? How does it know what the enum type is? Hold on a second. How does it know? Let's see. How to add enum type to project settings. Godot. I don't think the Google document, the Google AI answer is correct. Oops. Maybe there's no way to do that. That kind of sucks. There was one that was Pascal case enums are ints typically. Yeah, my enum is an int. How long and how often do I normally work on the game for? I probably average like 8 hours a day on it. And usually work 6 days a week on it. Sundays, I'm usually pretty busy, but I'll try to find time on Sundays to work on it as well. Well, that was easy. Do I want to do a tooltip for the skip? Maybe I do want to do a tooltip for skip event. Anyway, let's do the boosters now. Okay. Rich text label, just basically yeet all of that again. Rich text label, goodbye, goodbye. Parent, set outline target. So in here, update highlight shovel.visible. Generic tooltip.register clickable control. Parent, generic tooltip. Private const string UI booster option tooltip header. Okay. Generic tooltip dot set header UI booster option tooltip header. Set body. We do need the entry. Is that right? Oh, I don't even need this anymore. Invalid click. Yeah, that's completely gone now. All right, let's try the booster now. Event type booster is 8. Tooltips are fun, everybody. On hover exited, on hover entered. Why is this here? That doesn't seem right to me. Well, I hope I didn't break anything. Contains a guaranteed minion item. Contains 5 items. Contains 4 items. Contains 3 items. Okay. Booster amount description. Do I want to reword that? The other benefit of having the tooltips is like, I feel like I can be a little bit more descriptive in the tooltips. Anyway, we won't worry about it for now. I think that works just fine. So add, man, look at all this deletion. Gotta love that. I love the new generic tooltip. Okay, so add tooltip support to booster. Okay. We might as well just do the skip event while we're here. Skip event button. Skip disallowed label. Is that still a thing? Oh yeah. Let's just delete these. Skip and gain. Yeah, whatever. We'll just delete these. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Generic tooltip dot register clickable control. Clickable control. Generic tooltip. We'll do, man, this translation stuff is very annoying, but I think I made it as not annoying as I possibly could. It's just one of those things where I just have to do it. Skip and counter. Skip and counter. Translation string. Skip and counter. Actually, let's just call this skip. And gain 0 description keywords dot icon blood text. This would be tooltip underscore body. Private const int blood gain on skip. And we also need the cannot skip. Okay. Announcement, skip event, error. Okay, we'll just throw this down here. Register clickable control, generic tooltip dot set header, UI tooltip header. Set description, set body, I keep doing that. description utils dot highlight keywords description utils dot format description UI encounter tooltip body blood gain on skip. I don't know. Let's see if it works. Hello, Amir. How am I doing? I'm doing well. How are you? What am I working on right now? Adding tooltips, those generic tooltips. Oh, I forgot to build the translations. Adding these generic tooltips to everything. Like we were doing yesterday. I'm almost done with it though. I think I've almost replaced all of the different labels and stuff with tooltips. I've also gotten a bunch of strings translated which were not previously translated, so that's not correct. Skip encounter and gain 0. Why is it not being formatted? Oh, because I need to translate this. That would be why. Skip encounter and gain 5 blood. Excellent. I forgot that I had implemented those upgrade differences. That upgrade diff view. That's pretty nice. Not gonna lie about that. Not gonna lie about that being nice. Yeah. Alrighty. So that's good. This tooltip is out of date. So I want to change this. Panel container decorative. Okay. I want to see if I have any grouped combat log shop event tooltip. Wait, I don't need the shop event tooltip anymore. This is not used. Did I forget to delete this? Yeah. Delete. Oh, it keeps resaving. That's probably what happened. Okay. Grouped combat log. Am I using that anymore? Oh, I'm not. Okay. Just do a bunch of cleanup here. Just run the game and make sure I didn't break anything. Seems to be okay. Tooltip and misc cleanup. Alrighty then. I think we can call that one good. So the tooltips are done. The tooltips are done. It actually didn't end up being that complex. So I was wondering how complex this generic tooltip was going to become, but it's pretty basic. And, the way I use the tooltip is I just register a clickable control with it. And then I just have a handler that passes a reference to the generic tooltip in as an argument. And then from wherever is registering it, I can just modify the header and the body. Here I can also add things to the footer. So basically just exposing an API to use that the handlers can use to configure the tooltip however they want. That makes my life a lot easier. I don't have to have a bunch of tooltip scenes hanging around. And yeah, so now I can basically have a tooltip whenever I need it. And so that could become really useful actually. So for instance, if I wanted to have support for like hovering over any day now. If I wanted to have support for like hovering over like these things and see like, what is this? Hover over that, hover over that. Yeah, I think that works pretty good. What else? This is a problem. I still need to fix that. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. At the beginning of Godot, to practice, I started to do a note-taking program to better understand UI elements and save data systems. Any ideas or comments? I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think a note-taking program is probably a good exercise. Godot is a game engine, but you can make apps in Godot. A lot of people do that quite frequently. It's a common thing to point out, but the Godot editor here, this window, this is a Godot game. Like this editor is made with the Godot engine. I don't think a lot of people realize that, but yeah, you can make apps with Godot just fine. Lots of people do that. So I don't have any comments or ideas other than it's probably a good way to learn Godot. It'll be a little bit different than making a game because you're probably going to have to deal with like the file system a bunch. But yeah. Now to add tooltips for hovering over status icons. So I do want to do that at some point. The thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is like, honestly, I think this combat widget may need like a visual update now. Firstly, it looks a little bit flat to me compared to everything else. Secondly, when you start building up status effects, they just kind of float out here. And thirdly, there's not enough room down here to display like higher health values. Like if the enemy has over 1,000 health or over 999 health, it becomes too long. It exceeds this border here. So I think I need to give the combat widget an upgrade visually. That might be one of the things that I tackle relatively soon. I think it's okay. Like, I think the theme and the visual style is good. I just want to give it some love, I guess. The thing about the combat widget is this is one of the earlier things that I made for the game. So, I mean, you could definitely tell that there are some elements that are not quite as polished in here as like the other parts of the game, like the pot and the inventory and everything. So I definitely want to take a stab at that at some point. I want to redo the buttons as well. These buttons are ugly. Lots of stuff to do. The idea for the project actually came from your stream. Oh yeah, how so? I think the widget is the one thing that hasn't visually changed since the first playtest. I think you're right, yeah. I think you're right. Also got to figure out what to do with this combat log here. Maybe I'll make it so that this combat log just can't be opened while the alchemy is open. I don't know. I don't even know if this one is super useful anyway. I might have to redo that. Let's turn on the training dummy. I almost wonder if I should make the combat, like this mini combat log. I almost wonder if I should make it part of this combat widget. Like I could imagine the combat widget sliding up and then showing this underneath it. I don't know. Lots to think about. I don't need to solve this problem now, but definitely something to think about. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to end the stream there. I'm going to go get some lunch. Whatever, training dummy. Go get some lunch. Maybe I'll stream later this afternoon. We will see. So keep an eye on the Discord to know when I go live. Otherwise, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. I would appreciate that support. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow on Twitch. Yeah, for anyone watching on YouTube, I do stream on Twitch at the same time. So if you prefer the Twitch experience, you can head on over there. And the reverse is true for people on Twitch. So you can always go to either place if you want to see the live streams. The VODs are available on Twitch and YouTube as well, so you can go through the backlog and watch those if you want to. What else? Yeah, you can join the Discord. That's linked below. Yeah, everything, all the ways you can support me are linked in the description below, so check those out if you like the game. I appreciate all your support. Thank you all for being here. It's always a lot of fun. And yeah, I will see you in the next stream, which will either be later this afternoon or tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, take care, everyone, and bye-bye for now.